Hey, if you're about to host a webinar or start using events to be able to sell more of your high-ticket services within your coaching or consulting business this year, there are some things that you need to know as you head into this to make sure that it's going to be a profitable, very nice venture. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what are the things you need to know to make sure you have healthy expectations and actually see a lot of success from this new venture. Now, before we dive in, just so you guys know, my name is Zach Hesterberg. I do run paidevents.com, paidchallenges.com, paidbootcamps.com. Been in this space for a bit. We have helped a lot of people host virtual events, do webinars, do paid challenges, free challenges, sell from stage. And there's been a lot of things that we've learned that work well and a lot of things that don't work well. Today's going to be more of a mindset-oriented video. We're going to talk about all of the keys to success as far as mindset and healthy expectations to make sure that as you go into this new venture, you're going to be set up for success. If I could boil this all down into one core thing to just install into everyone's brains, is that your first event, your first webinar, your first at-bat, the goal should be to learn before you earn. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, we have no idea how you're going to do. We have no idea how you're going to perform. Hopefully, you make a whole lot of money. Hopefully, you go up to bat, you swing that bat, and you just crush the ball right out of the park. However, very rarely does that actually happen for people, especially their first time doing this. I don't care if you're doing a free event, paid event, multi-day, one day, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, these events or this one-to-many selling system that you are about to head into, this is a full-on acquisition system. And whenever you go into a new acquisition system, very rarely does a brand new funnel just immediately crush it straight out of the gate. And the specific one that you're about to go into, really one-to-many selling, there are 4 entirely different skills that you're about to put into place here, and you're really going to be testing yourself on. And you might have 3 of these skills entirely down, and maybe the 4th skill is totally new for you. And so there might be a lot that goes really, really well. And just because the event does not convert or you make a whole lot of profit in the back end, that does not mean that you're not on to something great. Okay, so just want to set that expectation first. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the 4 totally different skill sets that you are about to put into place, just so you actually understand really what you should be focusing on here. So skill set number 1 is going to be offer positioning. See, a lot of people, when they're selling higher ticket services, they have done very, very well with selling their offers in a one-on-one environment because they know exactly how to position an offer to that one person they're talking to, especially in the sake of if you're talking to a lot of warm leads, word of mouth, referrals, people like that, they're coming to you, they're pretty pre-sold already. So you don't have to have the best offer in the world, especially like for your higher ticket offer, in order for it to sell because there's so much trust in place. But now, especially in a one-to-many environment, you're actually putting your offer positioning to the test in 2 different ways. Number 1 is through your high ticket offer, right? Your higher ticket flagship offer that you're planning on selling in a one-to-many environment. We have to make sure that that's positioned in a way that cold traffic, people who do not know, like, or trust you, people that you're not having a one-on-one conversation with, we have to figure out how to position that in a way that a lot of strangers say, I might not know you quite yet, but yeah, that offer, it seems good enough. I'd be more than happy to trust you with that. I'd be more than happy to buy it. So offer positioning is important for the back end offer, but also really your positioning on the front end. So whenever you're running ads and you're trying to actually get as many people to sign up for, whether it's your webinar or your paid virtual event, your challenge, your boot camp, etc., you have to figure out how in the world do you want to position that front end messaging in a way that cold traffic, people, once again, who do not know, like, or trust you, they say, you know what? I don't know this advertiser, but yeah, I'm more than happy to pay a little bit, grab a ticket when attend this upcoming event. Skill number 1, offer positioning. Make sure you dial that in. One of our keys to success with offer positioning is we do like to do market research. I always say, we don't care to be right. We just want to make money and get results. And what that means is I'm happy to check my ego at the door every single day of the week and try new things. And specifically when it comes to market research, we like to actually run these market research Facebook ad tests, usually like a Facebook lead gen campaign. We'll be able to test out a few different styles of messaging, a few different event titles, and just to ultimately see which event title is actually going to get the lowest cost of acquisition. We'll also add in a few qualifying questions in there, usually like a challenge, like the top challenge or the top pain point that this person is trying to solve, the top desire that they're trying to accomplish. Usually some sort of a sophistication question, such as, what have you tried to do to solve this problem already? And then we'll usually even ask some sort of a financial qualifying question on those forms as well. And ultimately what that will do is that market research test, that doesn't only show us what event name is going to get the lowest cost of acquisition. it will also help us to discern whether the people it's going to attract are the right people we actually want to be selling our back end offer to or not. Now, the second skill that you're going to really want to nail in is advertising. See, advertising and offer positioning, while they do go hand in hand, they are two technically different skills. And so, especially in the world of one-to-many selling, you're usually doing short bursts of ads, right? So you're running ads or you're doing some sort of a promo cycle to get as many people to sign up for your webinar or your event as possible. But if you are advertising for too long, right? If you're doing this for maybe 2-3 months out, very few people will actually attend your event or attend your webinar because it's too far out. And so maybe they might sign up for it in the moment, but 2 months later, they've totally forgotten that they signed up. So honestly, like the first kind of part about advertising you're really going to have to nail down is like, what's the right cadence for you? If you're doing free events, free challenges, free webinars, oftentimes people have the highest show rates for their events from this cold traffic with somewhere between a 2, 3, maybe a 4-day promo cycle leading up to the event. Now, we have tested out extensively for paid virtual events and paid challenges, and oftentimes people can do 2 to 3 week promo periods and have no negative impact on their show rates whenever you're simply charging money for the ticket prices. So keep that in mind. Obviously, advertising for a free versus advertising for paid events, they are going to have some different nuances. Also, is how in the world do you scale up your advertising? If you start to test out some messaging and you start to see, things are going well, and as your event's getting closer, you want to be able to scale up ad spend. Scaling up ad spend, most people, their strategies are to scale up by 20% every single day. And if you do the math and you're only doing a 4-day promo window or maybe a 2-week promo window, you could really only scale so much. And so, learning to actually scale aggressively, that is a totally different skill set that you're really going to have to be able to nail down. And then also making sure that you're testing things very efficiently because you don't have a long period of time to test. You can't just let an ad run for 2 weeks or 3 weeks to be able to go through learning period. You got to be able to rapidly test out your ads to see what's actually going to work and what won't work. You got to kill the losers fast, and you got to really scale up those winners fast as well. It's kind of like day trading for advertising. You've really got to make very quick short-term decisions, which most people, especially that work at Meta, they would actually oftentimes recommend against half the stuff that you actually have to do for advertising for these sorts of one-to-many environments. However, it's the way of the game. You got to play the game how it needs to be played, and that's just kind of the way that this works with paid virtual events or even webinars. And plus, at the end of the day, you could technically have the best presentation on God's green earth. However, if no one buys tickets or if no one is actually signing up to your event, doesn't really matter. Now, the third skill set that you're really going to have to nail in or dial in is going to be, I don't know how you want to call it, whether you want to say tech, automations, funnels. It's really marketing technology. What that is, that's everything from designing your funnel, your sales page, making sure your sales page conversion rate is optimized. That's really CRO for anyone that's new to that, conversion rate optimization. You're going to have to make sure you understand heat map tracking. You understand how to optimize pages, just split second, really, really quick. To make sure that not just page load time speeds are very, very efficient, but also making sure that people are actually going through your funnel, they're actually signing up, they're purchasing at the right rate. On top of that, after you actually design a page and making sure that it's converting, well, you also have to make sure that all of your automations are working properly. That people are actually getting signed up for the reminder to attend. Oftentimes, even before the reminder to attend sequences, you got to make sure that they're immediately getting a purchase confirmation email, maybe a text message as well. Then from there, you're really going to want to enroll them into some sort of a nurture-based sequence to really kind of dangle that carrot, get them excited, more and more excited for the event, for what they're about to learn, and also be able to kind of pre-handle some objections, maybe pre-build some trust into the process before they even show up on day one. And then after those nurture emails, then you're also going to have some, day of, maybe night before reminders to attend to make sure that they're actually, clicking that Zoom link, clicking that webinar link, and actually joining you when you go live. Then you'll still have, the replay emails, the open close card emails. All of those things are important. You'll also have to make sure that you're sending out calendar invites and making sure that you got some sort of a tech stack for that. We personally like to use adevent.com. Shout out to those guys, where you might have something on the thank you page right after they sign up and they get their ticket or they register their spot. You want some sort of option for them to say, click to add to their calendar. So that way it's actually on the calendar and they show up. Because once again, you could have as many people sign up as possible, but if no one actually shows up, boy, your presentation is rendered useless, you know? And then the fourth skill that you're really going to have to just absolutely master when you want to go down to a one-to-many selling process within your acquisition system is quite literally one-to-many selling, or maybe stage selling. Okay, stage selling is a skill set that most people just don't know much about, and it is uh, it's such an incredible skill set to be able to leverage. But boy, it's going to take a little bit longer than most people actually think it's going to take to actually see a lot of success from this. At the end of the day, many people, they go into this thinking that, hey, I'm a great salesperson. I close 40% of my referrals that I talk to. Great. Does that mean that you know how to actually get up on stage and go get planted in front of 100, 200, 500 people and go confidently deliver a presentation to them that pre-handles every single one of their objections and actually gets them to change the way they think and shifts the way they believe, shifts what they know to be true, shifts how they are thinking so that they're actually ready to hear your offer. And then when they hear their offer, you could actually get through the I need to think about it objections, or I need to talk to my spouse objection, or the that's too expensive objection, or I can't afford it objection. How are you going to do that in a one-to-many way without being able to actually have that one-on-one dialogue? That's a skill set that very rarely is ever going to go, I would say, very well on your first event. That's totally okay. Just key to success on this one, maybe you don't actually send them straight to a checkout page. Maybe you kind of go for a soft call to action just to get used to one-to-many selling. And your soft call to action can simply be, hey, book a call with me, or book a call with my team today. And that way we could actually have some sort of a discovery conversation with you, and we could actually figure out what the right fit is so that we can then give you a proper offer. And maybe you continue to use one-on-one sales calls in the back end from your stage selling presentations. And then obviously, as you start to get more and more and more used to stage selling, you're starting to understand all of the objections, all of the conversations that are happening on those one-on-one conversations from the stage. Okay, then you could start to take that data, put it back into your presentations, and start to kind of finagle your pitch, finagle your presentation in a way that kind of pre-handles a lot of those conversations that they're already having. You can almost make it seem like you can read their mind and come up with all of the answers to the questions that they're going to ask anyway. And you could start to integrate that back into your presentation, and then maybe you do a price drop. And whenever you do your price drop, then you let people know later, hey, we're not even going to let you buy right now. Your next step is to book a discovery call with us. And now the people you're having discovery calls with, they already at least know your price point. And you can start to have a little bit more sophisticated conversations there, nail down that part of the pitch, and nail down that kind of stage of stage selling before you move on to the next portion, which the next portion is usually saying, hey, look, you're going to actually pay us money today, scan this QR code, go to this link, and go buy the thing now. Okay. And so you could either send them straight to a checkout page and boom, that's it. That's done. Or you could even do deposit-based selling where you say, hey, look, it's 10 grand or 15 grand to work with us. However, you don't owe all of that today. Your next step is you're going to pay a $500 or maybe $1,000 fully refundable deposit, which will then redirect you to our calendar so that we could actually have a clear conversation with you and make sure this truly is the right fit for you. And if it's not the right fit for you, no big deal. We'll give your money back. We're not in the business of keeping people's money and not actually rendering proper services. And so, that's another kind of stage or another step of being able to up level in your stage selling. Okay, so as you can see, there are so many different layers of stage selling alone, and this is not something that you're really going to be able to master the first time you go up on stage. Just like if your kid went up to go play t-ball or go play baseball, and the very first time they have ever swung the bat, there's no way they're going to go get a home run. There's no way they're going to go get a grand slam, okay, unless they get absolutely lucky. And if they do, amazing. But that would not be a healthy expectation to be able to go back up to the plate and expect to get the exact same result again. You as the parent would really need to set their proper expectation to make sure they're not disappointed so that they felt like they're, maybe a failure if they did get a strikeout the next time at the bat. So that's why I'm ultimately trying to tell you this, is because so many people, they might have 3 of those 4 things totally dialed in, or 2 of those things totally dialed in, or maybe 3.5 of those things dialed in, and just one thing goes wrong, and all of a sudden they feel like, webinars aren't for them. or paid events aren't for them. And that's not at all the case. It's oftentimes just a natural progression of learning new skills. You're putting 4 totally different skill sets to the test here and hoping that it's going to create this perfect concoction of a recipe for, honestly, like what should hopefully be a great profitable engine to be able to continue to build up your revenue, continue to bring in awesome new clients, new customers into your ecosystem, which if done right, man, these things are great. They're high leverage. They're an incredible way to be able to build trust at scale and be able to get more and more people in your pipeline, more and more people being able to do business with you. And obviously, the more awareness you have, the more likely you're going to get more referrals. And it really just, it's almost like this self-propelling flywheel that just continues to grow the business. So I do want to encourage you, continue to stay in the game. I've heard it said that we should never expect to be great when we learn a new skill. We should, however, expect to be bad, and we should go into a new skill with the intention to be bad long enough until we're finally good. And then after being good for a while, then you'll eventually become great. So just go in this with the long game in mind. And if you have that, you will understand that your first event may not make you much money. Your first event is to learn before you earn. And then after that first event's over, then you can ultimately just look at all of your data. Let's look at, hey, how did your ads perform? How did the sales page perform? How did the show rate look? Was it a healthy show rate? What did the engagement look like? Did people actually stay in the presentation and tell the pitch? And then how did the pitch perform? How many people actually took action from your offer that you actually gave from stage? And then once you start to understand all of these clear kind of spots of the funnel, these clear KPIs, then you can start to do what actually one of my mentors, Jeremy Haynes, he called it a bottleneck analysis. You can start to figure out just based on the numbers, hey, which of these numbers was the biggest bottleneck that we just need to address? And so then you just go address that bottleneck, boom, go rehost that event, and let's see how much better the event does after that bottleneck has been addressed. So for example, if you had a whole bunch of people sign up, you were happy with your cost per registrant, or you were happy with your cost per purchase on the front end. And then maybe you had a 50, 60% show rate, which is pretty standard if you're doing a paid virtual event. That's great and all. And then maybe you had a whole bunch of people show up not just show up, but actually stay and stay very engaged throughout the course of the presentation. That's great. You didn't have any bottleneck here, except for maybe you had literally 0 people buy, or maybe you had a 1% conversion rate from the pitch. And in that case, it's like, okay, we might need to either work on that offer positioning, or maybe your stage selling on how we're actually presenting the offer and how we're actually asking for the money or asking for them to take action. At that point, it's like, just focus on that, fix that, make a couple enhancements, and then go back and rehost this thing. You will find that if you actually are systematically attacking each bottleneck one at a time in this process, you don't have to go host 20 webinars. You don't have to go host 30 webinars or 40 webinars. Sometimes you don't even have to go host more than 5 or 10 before you start to actually take your learning and turn it into earning. And by the way, if you'd like to actually shortcut your learning curve with all of this, shameless plug, go to paidevents.com. Fully transparent, once again, that is the company that I run, paidevents.com. We actually help all of our clients who are usually coaches, consultants, experts, course creators, agency owners, professional service providers. We help them create these paid virtual events that they can actually sell a bunch of tickets to and actually make sure that they have a 50 to a 75% show rate. And then from there, we actually teach them how to actually sell in a one-to-many environment. We have systems and SOPs for every single step of the way, everything from designing that first event, actually doing some market research to figure out what you should call it, all the way to making sure you're, selling tickets at a great rate, making sure everyone's showing up, and you're also having yourself a pretty nice, hopefully, a pretty nice payday or a pretty nice pitch from stage. And then after you host it, we actually do debriefs with all of our clients and actually make sure they're actually learning properly and they're doing that bottleneck analysis. And we actually will not just watch their event, we'll give them specific feedback on saying, hey, look, based on your event, everything went well except for this one thing. I'd change your pacing here, or maybe I'd add in a story here to shift this one belief, or, we didn't address this one objection. It's very likely the reason why you actually didn't get as many conversions as you're looking for. And then boom, you go put that event back on your calendar the week after, or I'm sorry, not the week after, usually the month after, and you start promoting tickets again, you start selling tickets again, and you start to get better. And oftentimes, it really takes maybe 2-3 times before people are really doing pretty solid numbers. Obviously, I'm not going to make any sort of income claims. This is a YouTube video. I have no idea who you are, if you have any sort of probability in being able to go build up your business or go make more sales. However, we absolutely can teach you all of the skills that we have learned, all of the things that don't work and all of the things that do work. When we have seen a ton of people do 6-figure paydays, and we've even seen a couple people do 7-figure paydays from stage. We've also seen a lot of events not work. And so if you'd like to shortcut your learning curve, man, go to paidevents.com. We would love to have a quick chat with you and see what that could look like to install event-based selling into your business this year to really multiply what God has given you. So that's about all I have for you today. If you're new to the channel and you got any sort of value from this, I highly encourage you, go smash that subscribe button wherever that is here on YouTube, and maybe even turn post notifications on if you're feeling a little spicy today. Look, we've got 2 videos we release every single week. Every Tuesday, we have videos just like this. When you're talking about actual lessons you could go apply to your business to go make more money and ultimately go create more revenue, or at least lessons that we have learned that have done that for other businesses. Because once again, have no idea who you are. So I'm not going to make any sort of income claims. However, every Friday, we have what we like to call Faith Forward Fridays. Faith Forward Fridays are ultimately when we are taking the Bible, good old Bible. Yes, that's the book for me, right? We're taking the Bible and we're actually talking about some scripture, some ancient wisdom that can actually be applied into how you are leading and how you are building your business. Okay, we're not, preaching Jesus at you per se. I am absolutely a Christian, and boy, has just God in general provided a lot of wisdom for me on how to build a business. And so honestly, that's the point of those Friday videos, is to actually hand down lessons that God is teaching me as I'm just diving into his word and getting closer with him, and how they actually apply directly to the marketplace. So anyway, if that sounds like your cup of tea, boy, once again, would I encourage you, hit subscribe, and we cannot wait to see you in the next video. And as always, if you're a returning subscriber, we always like to say welcome on back. Always love having you, and clearly you're getting some sort of fruit from watching this. And so I always say, if you're getting fruit from this, I would say you have someone else in your network that would probably get a lot of fruit from this as well. So don't store up all the treasure for yourself. Make sure you're sharing the goods. This is a renewable resource. It's not like you watch this and you're the only person. Share this with a friend that you know that would also get some fruit from this. So someone that ideally is a Christian entrepreneur, someone that's really trying to build this business, and whether they're in the early stage, they're just trying to build a firm foundation, or maybe they're in scaling mode and they're ultimately needing some more tactical help. You just never know what sort of fruit and what sort of wisdom this may be for them. It's just ultimately, hopefully, it's a life-giving channel for them. So once again, share it with them. I always say it would mean a lot to me, but it would mean way, way more to the right person that you're sharing this with. Cannot wait to see you all in the next episode. Peace.